lineups, start max entering some tournaments. But yeah, that's about it.
Dude, nothing is more frustrating than when you send me a lineup and it ends up turning well for you, and I say, no, don't play that player, don't play this player, and I play a different guy. Like, normally it's a Redskin.
Well, it's because you're always playing Redskin players.
Right. I'll go, like, with Kirk Cousins, and, I mean, don't get me wrong, Kirk Cousins is going to ball out. He's going to get you points. But you'll play somebody under the radar, like a value pick, and I'll be like, why the hell would you do that? And then I play Kirk Cousins, and he gets me 10 points. And then you say, well, you should have listened to me. So I think this year I might not only take your advice on my own podcast here, but I definitely will give you guys more of a listen to, like I said, earn myself a little side cash. You kind of touch base.
Hey, I will tell you that I am all over Kirk Cousins and Terrell Pryor versus the Eagles week 1. They're my favorite cash game plays right now, and a cash game is basically a double up or a triple up, not a GPP, which is a tournament. I love Kirk Cousins and Terrell Pryor. I think Terrell Pryor. I know the Eagles just traded for Darby, and Darby had a big pick in return the other day. But Terrell Pryor has like 5 inches on Darby, and Terrell Pryor, my man's is gonna have over 20 DK points. And also, and I'm a Cowboys fan here, saying Terrell Pryor is my man's because the man is my man's, and this man is going to lead the NFC East. I don't know, Dez looked monstrously good tonight, but
he's got to stay healthy.
Lead the NFC East in touchdowns.
I'm scared. I'm scared though. I don't know if you gave the Redskins a look tonight. I know you're probably going to be listening to this on Monday, but dude, 2 games in a row. I mean, I turned it off, I think, after our 3rd possession tonight. 2 games in a row where we couldn't get more than 8 yards with our starting group. I think we ended up moving the ball a little bit with our starting group after I turned it off. I kind of tuned out because I went out a little bit. I know our 3rd string looked good, but every 3rd string looks good in the preseason because they're facing other 3rd strings, and their defenses end up getting cut. But I don't know, man. Every target that I've seen so far from Kirk to Terrell Pryor, they are not on the same page. I'm sure they'll get it right, and I'm sure Kirk Cousins will get his goosebumps or whatever he's got going on right now out of his system. But I love when you say they're the value picks because that means that the Redskins are going to be okay. And the Redskins tonight and from the first preseason, I know you can't say anything from the preseason because normally teams that go 4-0 end up 2 and whatever. And teams that go 0-4 normally win the Super Bowl like the Patriots. It seems like the Patriots never win a game in the preseason. But
well, what you said for DFS is huge. That's a very good overreaction that I love to hear in DFS because it's just going to drive Terrell Pryor's ownership down, putting less people on him week 1. And I know my gut. Whenever I trust my gut in DFS, I'm usually right. And my gut is screaming at me, lock Terrell Pryor in. So that's good to hear that people are overreacting to preseason. I love that.
Yeah.
But also, I know the Washington Redskins lost. Our boy, Sean McVay. And I call him my boy for an inside story. But, but yeah, Kirk is definitely going to have to find a new rhythm. I think he looked pretty out of rhythm tonight. And he's got to lock that down with the offensive coordinator.
Well, it's Jay Gruden, and Jay Gruden came out and said in the
oh, is it?
Yeah, Jay Gruden's taken over the calls, and he said this past week that he was fine with making the calls, but the first week we didn't get a single yard with the first offense, and that's scary. I mean, I know the first week you only play 1 possession, you're done, but this week even they want to run the ball so bad, and our team is not a running team. Rob Kelly is a joke, and anybody other than that, their line's okay. I mean, it's not top-notch, but it's not bottom-notch like it used to be. We are not a running team. You have got to space the field. But we'll get back to what we're really hitting on here. And I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to ask you the second question of, I mean, what are the qualities you really look for when searching for slate plays weekly and from your Sunday night on through the week?
Yeah, I kind of tie this into an optimized lineup. The qualities I look for in my DFS players, the main quality I look for is reliability and consistency. An optimized lineup is basically something you spend all week on to plug into cash games and a couple of GPPs. You basically want to keep building your lineup until you have confidence that every single player there is going to hit 3x. And reliability is huge.
I want to be confident about what they're going to do. And a lot of the times you'll see those low-priced guys that you think, oh man, there's a good chance Kenny still is going to catch a 50-yard touchdown, but he's going to get like 3 targets. But whenever he catches the target, it's a 50-yard touchdown. That's not what I'm looking for. Pierre Garçon, I know I'm a Cowboys fan, but Pierre Garçon last year was on a huge reliability plays. He helped me make over $2,000 on a slate last year. He was priced at $4,100, and I told my buddy Nate, we were conference calling and arguing our asses off. I said, dude, this man is going to get 5 targets. Some of those targets are going to go for good yardage. He's $4,100. We're locking and loading him. I know what he's going to do. Ended up scoring like 20 points. He had 2 touchdowns. So there's that. That's what we look for. Reliable players to plug into our optimized lineup. We want players that we know what we're going to get. Some high floor players. And you keep plugging those guys in every week, and you're going to get some really good weeks because those high floors turn into high ceilings, and they just bust. They just go like a rocket. Just scores fly way up. You're finishing high in GPPs, and you're making a lot of money. And then when they don't hit that high ceiling, or that, I mean, medium ceiling probably, when they don't hit that high ceiling, they still hit the high floor. That's all you want. When you hit the high floor, you cash in double ups, you live to fight another day. So that's what I look for.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting to hear, and I know a lot of people are big on analytics in whatever sport they want to look at, and analytics are hard to get into. I've never really understood them myself, but I think you got your own form of analytics going on, and you kind of said you've spoke about the optimized lineup multiple times, and I just kind of want to get an insight. I mean, we'll dive deeper into it as we get you on weekly, but I kind of want to get your insight on what an optimized. Why can I not say optimized? I don't know.
Optimized.
But I just want to get an I just want to get an insight on your optimized lineup and what does that exactly mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of touched up on that. We're kind of going backwards, but I love it. I love talking about DFS.
Keep going.
Optimized lineup. Optimized lineup. I'll just keep throwing stuff out there. When I'm building an optimized lineup, I can't say it either. Jesus. It's like Pink Panther when you can't say hamburger. I would like to buy a hamburger.
Hamburger.
I would like to buy a hamburger. One of the main things we look for is targets. Targets are huge in DFS because it's PPR. DraftKings is PPR, FanDuel's PPR. Like Julian Edelgoat last season, he was logging 13 targets a game, and his prices never jacked up that high. That's something we look for in optimized lineups. Pierre Garçon was getting 5 targets a game. Players like Christian McCaffrey, I'll be on this year a lot. I love his Week 1 price, $5,400. I'm sure we're going to have a Week 1 podcast about that. But those kinds of players at running back, they always are in our optimized lineups. Those pass catchers, players like fucking LeGarrette Blount, you want nothing to do with that. I know there are more players like that. But David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, there are optimized lineups. Whenever me and Nate could fit David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell when their prices were over 10K on DraftKings together, we would do it. And we'd cash every week doing it.
Yeah.
Their prices are a little lower, but it's going to be tough Week 1. But, we want that high floor. Optimized lineup, we usually pay down at quarterback to squeeze in those high floor, reliable pass catchers like Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson.
Yeah.
We roster a lot of 5,800 quarterbacks. Like Kirk is 63. That's a little high, but I want to fit him in. Andy Dalton, 5,700. Players like that. Usually, you get a couple players down there that put up numbers similar to the quarterback ones, like Brady, Rodgers, Breeze.
Right.
But we look for those low price quarterbacks, those pass catching running backs, and those heavy target wide receivers in the optimized lineup.
So do you call those value picks? Because I know I've done some DraftKings, and I always throw in probably $20 every Sunday. But are those like value picks to you for the optimized lineups, or like? I mean, I always look for the guys that are low in price, but I feel like they're going to do good, and I normally leave my DraftKings, I don't know what you call it, slate, draft board, whatever, with more to budget, but I always feel good because it's a value pick.
Yeah, a value pick is basically a guy who's cheap that's going to put up huge numbers. So in DraftKings, you want 3 times the salary of the player. So you have $50,000 worth of salary. What score does usually cash in a double up or GPP? It's usually 150. That's that and up is what you want. 150, sometimes 140, depending on how bad the slate is. But 50 times 3 is 150. So anytime you're looking for a player, you're asking yourself, can this player give me 3 plus X? Can this player give me 3 times his salary? So value play. Let me think of a value play. Week 1, Waukese, I think it's Waukese Rogers for Tampa Bay. He's starting. Jacquiz? Yeah. I'm going to call him Waukese.
He's not starting over Doug Martin?
Yeah, Doug Martin suspended for the first 3 games.
I didn't see. I don't pay it. Yeah. I guess I'll see
that
on Hard Knocks.
You guys ask me questions, I'll answer them for you. See, he's priced at 4,900. So 3x for Waukese Rogers, Waukese is I don't know. Let's stop. It's 15 points. So 15 points is what you're going to need to cash, basically, unless some of your other players go crazy. So a value play to me is 4 times his salary. Like Cooper Kupp is 3,600. He's 2 touchdowns. I know last week was a fumble recovery for a touchdown, but Jared Goff loves him. He's always looking at Goff. He's at 3,700 this week. I definitely see 3 plus X for Cooper Kupp week 1. He's a value play in my book. McCaffrey is at 5,400. He's something I'm looking at as a value play. He can get me 15 points easy. And then you get the opposite of value is your stud. The player you're paying up for that has to hit that 3x, because if you pay up for a stud and doesn't hit 3x, you're fucked, pretty much. And my studs are usually high at running back. If it's not a lower priced running back pass catcher, then it's going to be David Johnson or Le'Veon Bell. Wide receiver, you can usually find some good guys at $500 to $600. But yeah, that's it.
Well, that's
talk for days about DFS.
Yeah, I know you can, and I actually, that's one of my favorite things to talk to you about, and even off of recording, I love to just talk about football, and that's why I brought a podcast with my buddy Jack, because, I mean, if you're going to talk about it anyway, you might as well record and get something out of it.
Yeah, me and Nate were logging like 3 FaceTime hours a week talking about DFS, just screaming at each other. He was like, dude, why don't we just make a podcast and scream at each other over the podcast?
I know. Yeah, the other day you texted me and was like, well, I think my podcast is done. And I was like, oh no. Again, another fight over DFS. But before we wrap it up, I wanted to...
I actually...
Go ahead.
I actually thought it was over. We got in such a bad fight that I was just like, dude, I hope you have a good NFL. I hope you make a lot of money. And I thought we were dead-ass serious. And like, I was like, holy shit. I gotta find somebody on Twitter to do a podcast with me. And like, an hour later, he sent me a picture of himself with the camera up to his face, making some weird, ugly face that just looked hideous. And I was like, oh, so we're good. This is it. We're back, baby. Let's go. DFS Cash Project.
All right.
I'm sorry.
I know today with our Saturday special of draft or yearly draft, whatever that we did on ESPN when we joined the draft lobby just to do one. We ran into a new guy. I was so angry at him, and while we were recording, I was like, "Why are you taking so long? You're not on auto pick. You're clearly here because your icon is set up. Why are you taking so long to draft? You should know who you want." And then he commented in our chat and said, "My computer's about to die," which is not cool. But he said,
"You're leaving us on a cliffhanger."
He said, "It's my first draft ever. Can you just deal with it?" And then that's when I realized, well, not everyone's like a vet like I am. I've been drafting yearly and doing DraftKings for years. And so I just kind of wanted to ask you a question about any advice you would have to new daily fantasy sports players. I mean, daily's obviously a different kind of ordeal than yearly, but it's kind of still the same process. You still got to know guys. And if you're a new guy, how are you supposed to know what to look at and where to go to? I mean, if I'm a new guy to daily fantasy sports, I'm looking at Redskins. I know Redskins. I know NFC East. I don't know a whole lot outside of that. I mean, once football gets going, I'll get into the swing of things, but I'm not going to know people like a value pick from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or somebody like that. The 49ers, why am I going to pick Pierre Garçon with Brian Hoyer thrown to him? I mean, just give me a little insight on advice to a new daily fantasy sports guy.
Yeah, well, if you're